That's a great question, but actually, I don't think see a trade-off between all these three aspects. So if you come up with a strategic move, so you need to improve all of the aspect, commercial growth, especially innovation. For example, in Turkcell, what we do is we always try to improve the infrastructure of national infrastructure. We are building currently 5G infrastructure in Turkey, and then our auction was in 2025, and April 2026, we started the rolling out the 5G advanced technology. So we are always investing on the 5G technology in order to have the national infrastructure. On top of it, for the new technologies, especially for AI, we are heavily investing on the data center business. For example, lately we have a Google Cloud investment in Turkey around $3 billion. So we see a huge growth there. But in order to come up with the growth, you definitely need to support it with the big investments at the beginning. So that's the reason that we are building data centers, around 50 megawatts of data centers in Turkey to support the AI infrastructure and then try to make the Turkey as a national hub around the region. Actually, the 5G is the latest technology, and then we just launched it in 2026. But as everybody knows, 5G started its journey at 2022, 2020. But overall, we just got the 5G advanced technologies, and we know that the 4G technology is for connectivity, but 5G technology is for interaction. So more interaction means that instead of interacting with only people, with the 5G, we are talking about with the interaction with the devices and the cities. We are talking about more, So that's the reason that we think that in the future we are just going to be a digital service provider to everything, from the people, the cities, the buses, IoTs, so you name it. So overall, our idea, our key strategy is that we are going to provide the digital services like a TV broadcasting, instant messaging app. So we are going to combine with the 5G technologies, the 5G advanced technologies with all these digital services, and we are going to become a digital service provider end to end for all our customers and also for all our devices, IoTs. I started my career as a R&D person, and so I believe in the R&D. And then actually what happened is in Turkcell, we have a 6-gen laboratory, for example. We established a laboratory with more than 20-25 PhD focusing only for not commercial purposes, for the future. So we think about what's going to happen in 6G and beyond. What's going to happen with the terrestrial networks and non-terrestrial networks. Because overall, we can see that there's a huge trend for the telecom operators they are moving out of terrestrial. Maybe it's high altitude platforms, maybe satellites, but we need to think ahead and then see alternative sources to communicate. So that's the reason that R&D is very important for Turkey, and we have enough people to do their job and then bringing new technologies, new connectivity technologies to Turkey. Actually, what happened is, everybody is looking for how to digitalize their systems, but you need to keep in mind that you definitely need the first infrastructure. If you don't have the infrastructure, you cannot put AI. If you don't have good enough connectivity, you cannot bring the e-government services. So if you don't have enough smartphones, even if you bring the best and the greatest digital services to your people, the customers, if your smartphones are not good enough, you cannot satisfy the need. So overall, you need to look in the whole picture, from the smartphone, from the connectivity, from the data center, and all the infrastructure. So that's the reason that if a government or a company needs to step in to improve the digital transformation, they need to put effort on all aspects. So then the decision point comes to where to invest. So do you want to invest heavily on the infrastructure, or do you want to invest heavily on the people or the smartphones or the software? So you need to have a balance. As a government or as a company, you need to have a balanced approach. So you need to do all at the same time with a limited budget. Actually, it needs to touch. So overall, we can come up with a great idea, and then it definitely needs to solve a problem. We just call it that from the process to solution to value. So even if we can solve a problem, but if it doesn't come up with the value for our customers or for people, it doesn't go through, it doesn't fly. So that's the reason that you definitely need to take into account that whatever you do, at the end of the day, it needs to touch a people or maybe a small sensor or a small machine right now, but it needs to benefit. So that's the reason that we are talking about the AI model. So for example, everybody is trying to use AI, but everybody is talking about the AI application part. But without energy, without chips, without data center, and without models, you're not going to have any AI applications. So that's the reason that we need to think a whole picture, and then we need to invest on energy, we need to invest on the data center, chip businesses, models, and then at the end of the day, with the value proposition, you need to come up with the AI application such a way that you are going to make the people's life easier.